I am now a MultiVersus ambassador. This is one of the coolest things that's ever happened because of my YouTube hobby. The fact that Warner Brothers and PFG think of me as someone they want to be a community leader. I mean, have they not seen my drunk streams? Regardless, I'm very thankful for it. It means a lot. I want to thank every single one of you that has been part of me getting here. But one thing about being an ambassador is there's potential for me to see an announcement ahead of time. I do not know if that'll ever happen. I haven't yet, but I did get exclusive gameplay for Jason ahead of time. I don't know if that'll happen for another character. And before I'm in a situation where I have to lie through my teeth, I just want to get my honest and genuine wish list out there into the world where it's untainted by leaks and knowledge that I have from other sources, where it's just as pure as it can be, and it's just also a fun topic to talk about while we're celebrating. Let me go on about characters that I love for like 15 minutes. That seems like a fun video to celebrate getting ambassador. So once again, thank you guys for helping me get here, but let's just get started with my wish list. The way I have it organized this time, we have 5 guest characters, 10 Warner Brothers characters, and then a top 3. And we're going to start with the guest characters. Now, before you say anything about the guest characters, yes, I know they're not owned by Warner Brothers. No, I don't think their chances are very good, but I'd still really like to see them. And this applies to Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite animated show of all time. Although X-Men 97 is giving it a run for its money, I still think Avatar comes out on top for me. Just, you can't fight against the nostalgia. And I know Aang is playable in other platform fighters. I just don't like those other platform fighters as much. And it's been a dream of mine to see a Nickelodeon Cartoon Network crossover. And of course, Aang would be part of that. I would love to see Aang interact with the Teen Titans, or interact with DC characters in a game that's not made by NetherRealm, because I don't want to see what NetherRealm's going to do to my beloved son. I think they'll probably do him pretty dirty. So yeah, I would love to see Aang in this game. And another animated character I'd love to see, well, it's more of an anime rep, I really want to see Princess Mononoke. Her name is San, but most people know her as Princess Mononoke. I think that's what she'd be referred to as in-game. I am so surprised Studio Ghibli is not mentioned more when it comes to anime reps. They're some of the most iconic movies of all time. Most of them are incredible. There are very, very few bad Studio Ghibli movies. And Princess Mononoke is my personal favorite. I think in a game that's lacking female representation, she would be a badass anime character to bring into the game. Also, I really like the idea of her interacting with Arya Stark in the Game of Thrones characters, because they're both kind of heavy, mature universes with some fantastical elements, right? But also, Arya's banner is the wolf. Princess Mononoke is also the wolf princess, the wolf girl. So I just think that's really cool. They'd be a really cool duo to run. I don't know, I think it'd be neat. I think if we're talking anime reps, we gotta put some respect on Ghibli, and Ghibli has its own section on HBO Max, or at least it did. I think a lot of the movies are still on there, but yeah, Ghibli and Warner Brothers, at least lately, have a pretty decent relationship. Another character I think actually has a pretty decent shot at getting into the game is Optimus Prime. Here's the thing, man. I grew up with Transformers, whether it's the Bay movies. I wasn't old enough to care about the writing then. I just saw cool robots fighting, and I was down. But I've seen like every animated series they've released in the US, whether it's G1, or Transformers Animated, or Transformers Prime, or even like the Armada and Energon shows. Transformers is just such a formative part of my nerd experience. War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, of course, some of the coolest games I've ever played. I don't know, man. I just grew up playing Transformers games. Every time Optimus Prime is in a video game, I play the video game, whether it's Smite or it's Fortnite. I'm gonna keep doing it, and I would love to play Optimus Prime in just straight up my favorite multiplayer game. That would be pretty dope, man. You know what else would be dope? Saitama. Saitama is a character I love so much, I made a moveset for him. Now, I mostly made the moveset because every time I brought up Saitama, people would always rebut with, well, dude, how would he play? How would he even work? Like, we don't have a game where Velma Dinkley, who has never fought anyone in her life, is beating people up with words, or where Shaggy has the Ultra Instinct powers. Like, somehow we live in a world where that is okay, but Saitama is baffling and no one could think of how he'd work. So I made a concept about him that devs responded to and really liked, including Tony the Goat himself. So I'm just saying, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for all of you guys. And I really just want to see him. One Punch Man is my favorite anime of all time, especially the first season. Second season is definitely worse, but I think it's still pretty serviceable. It's still really fun. The animation's just worse. But yeah, season 1 is so peak. One of my favorite shows of all time. Also in my top 10 favorite shows. Gotta get him in the game, dude. Another character I made a moveset for that I really want in this game is Master Chief. Again, I really love that the devs responded to this moveset as well. A lot of positive reception for Master Chief from this moveset. And yeah, I just really want to see him happen in a platform fighter. I don't care if it's Smash. I don't care if it's MultiVersus. I would have cared about Brawlhalla if their crossovers weren't just skins for existing characters. I'm sorry, I want my characters designed from the ground up around that person's kit. I know that takes more time than a skin, so you get to do less crossovers, but I think it's more interesting and it's a lot more fun. I am curious to see who's going to win the Master Chief platform fighter race, whether it's MultiVersus or it's Smash Brothers. I'm kind of rooting for MultiVersus though. I know there's a lot of Halo fans on the dev team. And with Master Chief, that kind of covers it for the guest characters. Those are the 5 that I would like to see. There's some characters above this that are technically not owned by Warner Brothers, but they are very much Warner Brothers adjacent, to the point where I think calling them a third-party character is a stretch. At the most, they're second party, because like Warner Brothers either owns their film rights or they help distribute them. They are very interlocked with the franchise, you know what I mean? And the first Warner Brothers character I want to talk about is Daffy Duck. There's not much to say. We all want him for the same reasons. It's weird to have Bugs Bunny without Daffy Duck, and Daffy Duck is the funniest Looney Tune. He's my favorite one. I want to see him inside this video game. Moving on, Powerpuff Girls. Look, man, I know we have their stage. I know Bubbles was teased in the trailer. I know they are very likely to come, and they were even listed alongside playable fighters in the Joker teaser. But until I get an announcement, I am going to put them on my wish list. We waited 2 years for the Joker after his tease in the Batcave, and we expected Joker way before we'd get him. So my stance on characters, I don't care how much they get teased, I don't care how much they get soft confirmed, until I can play as them, I'm going to ask for them. And yeah, I love the Powerpuff Girls. This was one of the shows I would watch with my sister when we were really younger, so there's a lot of good memories. I would love to see them come to MultiVersus. Another character that's been teased to hell is Raven. And yes, I really need to see some Teen Titans representation. I don't know how we don't have a Teen Titans rep already. I think they are easily the biggest team in DC other than the Justice League. Task Force X, I'm sorry, you will never hold a candle to the Teen Titans. The Teen Titans have been holding it down for 20 years on Cartoon Network. Since 2003, Teen Titans Go is still going. And then you have shows like Young Justice. You have some of the animated movies, some of which are good, some of which are really bad, but they still exist. And then you have the live action Titans show, which doesn't need talking about because it's dog water. But still, it was actually decently popular for a little bit. The thing is with the Teen Titans is that these characters are just so popular, and they have been carrying DC on the animated front and on the television front for 2 decades. They need some respect on their name. And we're also getting a Teen Titans movie now. So yeah, put Raven in, and I am going to be asking for more. Spoiler alert. But before that, I really need to bring up Mortal Kombat. This is another franchise where I am astonished it's not already in the game. I really need to see Scorpion in this game. Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite franchises of all time. It has the coolest characters ever, like just ninjas with elemental powers. It's such a basic concept, but Mortal Kombat executes on it so well. Yes, bring me Scorpion, please. Another character I'd really like to see is Harry Potter. Look, I know J.K. Rowling is an idiot, but I would rather player first games be able to benefit off of Harry Potter than her. I don't think if you buy a Harry Potter costume in MultiVersus that it would go to J.K. Rowling. I don't think that's how that works. But also, every time a Harry Potter movie came out as a kid, my sister and I would watch the movie, and then we'd go home, and then we'd play the video game they released based on the movie. It was like one of the only times my sister and I would actually sit down and play a video game together, you know? So yeah, Harry Potter as a franchise does mean a lot to me. I do love the franchise. I just wish there wasn't a bozo running it. So yeah, if I can play as Harry Potter and support player first games, that would be a dream come true. You know what else would be a dream come true? More Teen Titans, dude. Specifically, Starfire. Starfire is my absolute GOAT. She's my favorite female superhero of all time, and I really hope she has a chance to get into MultiVersus. I don't see her mentioned as much as the other Teen Titans, so I'm going to mention her here. And honestly, she's just a character I really relate to. I moved across the country when I was a kid, and so I could really relate with Starfire's fish out of water. I don't relate to any of the people around me. I speak differently than everyone around me. Even though I didn't move from country to country, I did move literally from like coast to coast. Yeah, it's just a story I can relate to very heavily, and she has just some of the best episodes in the Teen Titans show. Also, if we get Raven, a lot of me wants Starfire to run that duo. They were the power duo in so many episodes where they were like, all right, gang, we gotta be girl focused this episode. And then those episodes always turned out to be some of the best because Raven and Starfire are just really great characters. Oh yeah, and if you put Starfire in the game, then you can give her a legendary Blackfire skin. I think everyone would be down for that. Blackfire is also really cool. Another really cool character with a lot of legendary skin potential is Robin. It should be Dick Grayson. I don't care. Tim Drake fans, go take a walk. You're not in the conversation. Jason Todd fans, what the hell? No, take a walk. Not in the conversation. It's between Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne, and we all know it. And it should be Dick Grayson because he's cooler and I like him more. Selfishly, just do it for me, please. If you do Dick Grayson Robin, there's just so much skin potential. Like I said, every other Robin can be a legendary skin with a new voice actor, but you can also give him a Nightwing skin. There are clips in the Teen Titans show where Dick Grayson is holding like two smaller sticks because his staff gets broken in two, so it's not out of pocket for Robin to use the Eskrima sticks, and it's not out of character for Nightwing to use a staff. They've both used both at some point. So you can even have Robin have some moves with the sticks and some moves with the staff. It doesn't really matter that much. And then you can easily give him multiple Nightwing skins without giving him a new voice actor because he's still Dick Grayson. He's also just one of the most famous DC characters of all time. Your grandma knows who Robin is. Everyone knows who Robin is. And in a 2v2 game that features Batman, he should get in. I want to run the Batman and Robin duo. It's iconic. It would be the most iconic in the game, and you can't argue against that. Shaggy and Scooby, maybe, if Scooby-Doo eventually gets in. But no, it's Batman and Robin, dude. That's the duo. And then you can do Batman and Robin versus Harley and Joker. That's pretty fun. You can also have Robin interact with other characters in the roster. Also, side note, I would love to see Robin meet Aang. It's been a dream come true. All Avatar fans also love Teen Titans, and likewise. They were both the anime gateway drugs, and a lot of people who like one show like the other. So yeah, that's another reason why I really want to see Aang, is because I want to see him team up with Robin. And the last character before we get to my top 5 is Aragorn, son of Arathorn, the true king of Gondor. Please put some respect on this man's name. He gave as much of his life as he could to keeping Frodo safe and to uniting the realms against Sauron and his evil forces. Oh my god, he's the GOAT. If there's anyone that deserves to be called hero, it's Aragorn. I also just really like the idea of Aragorn interacting with Game of Thrones characters like Arya, or maybe someone else that I'm gonna mention later in the list. I really like the idea of Aragorn interacting with Finn and teaching him how to be a hero and kind of taking a bit of a mentor role to some of these younger characters in this roster. You don't think Lord of the Rings and Adventure Time would be a cool crossover? You don't think Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones meeting up for the first time? You don't think that's dope as hell? And is there a better Lord of the Rings character than Aragorn? I mean, I know a lot of people like Gandalf, but I like the human fighter, man. I like this dude with the horse that kicks helmets. By the way, he should have a move where he kicks a helmet and he takes like 1% damage when he does it, because fun fact everybody, did you know that when Aragorn kicks the helmet in the movie, he breaks his toe and that's why the scream is so visceral? That is true, by the way, and Lord of the Rings fans, they get that bit. If you don't get that bit, watch the movies. Watch a YouTube documentary. Come on, man. Catch up. Lord of the Rings, they're goated. And speaking of goats, we're at our top 5, and we're going to start this off with Sub-Zero. You can't mention Scorpion without Sub-Zero. They both need to be in the game. Again, one of the most iconic duos in all of fiction. I would prefer Bihan, but really, I'm cool with either of them. The reason Sub-Zero is higher is because I like ice powers more than fire powers. I always have. Water and ice, like, that's my favorite element. They're just the best. They're badass. The coolest characters have them. It is what it is. There's really not that much more to say about Sub-Zero that I didn't say with Scorpion, but I will say, once they both get in the game, you can replace Sub-Zero and Scorpion with Ryu and Chun-Li, because I want Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat to happen in a video game, and why not let it be MultiVersus? It's a fighting game. It's a fighting game that won Fighting Game of the Year. Why not? Who cares? It'd be fun. It's not gonna happen in Smash Brothers. And speaking of things that aren't gonna happen, dude, I want Conan O'Brien in this game. Conan O'Brien is my favorite talk show host of all time. He is one of my favorite comedians of all time. He is so relentlessly funny. He goes for the bit. He goes 110%. He's someone that I think they could get to voice himself in this game, and I think Conan would have a great time doing it. We were robbed of Conan being playable in Injustice. They modeled a Flaming Sea costume just for Conan to use while he played the game on his show, but they never brought it to the game, and I wanted it in the game so badly because I watched Conan every single day. Every time it was available to watch, I was watching Conan. It's one of, again, my favorite shows of all time. It's in my top 10. LeBron sets the standard that real people can get in the game. Conan has very close ties to WB. His show was on TBS. He's still making content for HBO. His show on HBO, well, I guess it's called Max now, but his show on Max just got renewed for a season 2. His Hot Ones episode was the best one of the last season by far. People still love him. He's still relevant. Please, dude, put him in the game. It would be really funny. If you don't think this is funny, this is a litmus test for whether or not I think you're funny. But with Conan O'Brien out of the way, we are at our top 3. And if you're a fan of my channel and you've seen my other wish lists, they shouldn't be a surprise. Number 3 is Osmosis Jones. I want Osmosis Jones because, frankly, this is the only video game I could see him being playable in ever. That movie was too cool. The animated sections were great. The live action Bill Murray sections were pretty gross and bad. But whenever it was animated and it was like about this white blood cell cop who's trying to hunt down this virus and stop him, it was dope. It was a peak movie. I love it a lot. And honestly, Osmosis Jones just has one of the coolest character designs of all time. His voice actor wouldn't even be hard to get, because I know a lot of you are like, well, wasn't he voiced by Chris Rock? Chris Rock's not gonna do a video game. For one, we don't know until we ask. Maybe he thinks it'd be cool. But even if he's not willing to, Phil Lamar voices him in the Ozzy and Drix show, and he sounds just like Chris Rock in the movie. His Chris Rock impression is standout. And I would love to see Phil Lamar on a character that's not just stern and deep and cool like Samurai Jack. You know, not just a cool guy. I would love to see him on a lighter toned character and let Phil Lamar flex how good of a voice actor he really is. Now our second place, probably the character you thought was going to be number one. I really want Jon Snow in this game, man. Jon Snow is my favorite Game of Thrones character. I like the dude with the swords. It's my favorite. And he's not even just a dude with the sword. For moveset potential, you could have him have Ghost as like a puppet. You know, Ghost, if you don't know, is his giant albino direwolf. It's really cool. And frankly, there shouldn't be another Game of Thrones character first. We already got Banana Guard. You've proven that dreams can come true, okay? Now can you just make everyone happy with your next Game of Thrones character? Because Jon Snow, whenever there's a poll and it features Game of Thrones, Jon Snow obliterates the other Game of Thrones characters, and it's not close. It's never been close. He's not second place, he's first place, and I have a hunch that even with House of the Dragon, he would probably be out like Daemon Targaryen. Like, I have a feeling that he would still be number one even with the new show out. I've talked this point to death, but please, man, he's the perfect duo partner for Arya Stark, not the Hound. Arya doesn't even like the Hound as a person. But Jon Snow and Arya are connected. They're the black sheep of their family because Jon Snow is a bastard. He's not even really their son. And Arya Stark is a tomboy in a world where women are supposed to quilt and be ladies. And Jon Snow is the one that gives her needle, the sword she uses in the game. And she has voice lines referencing Jon Snow, referencing her brother that gave her this sword. So please, dude, just make me happy. It would make me so happy. And you know what else would make me happy? The final character, obviously, duh. Of course my most wanted character would make me happy. I would love to see Aquaman in this game. Aquaman and Cyclops are my favorite superheroes of all time. Cyclops for Marvel, Aquaman for DC. And yes, I am gonna be fighting to get Cyclops into Marvel Rivals. And yes, I am gonna be fighting to get Aquaman into MultiVersus. I know people want the Flash. I know people want other Justice Leaguers. I know people probably want Green Arrow. But I hate to break it to you, Aquaman is more famous than all of those characters. It's not just me saying this, the numbers back it up. Aquaman in many countries in the world is just the most popular superhero. It's weird, but it's true. Aquaman is one of the most famous superheroes of all time. His movies have always performed better than the other movies around them. Even in the failing DC universe, Aquaman 2 still was the highest grossing DC movie of that year, even with all the slop that came out before it that beat it down and established that DC movies were going to be horrible. That movie still made more money than all of the other ones. Aquaman 1 is still the highest grossing DC movie of all time. I don't know how else to say it, man. Thanks to years of ridicule and being a character since the 1940s, Aquaman is just really famous. Everyone knows who he is. And I think he would be a great character for a season of puns and villainy. because he's a joke character. I would love if they leaned into the joke character side of Aquaman for his moveset, by the way. I think that'd be really funny. I've already gotten cool, stern, badass Aquaman in the Injustice games, and to make him feel distinct, it'd be fun if they leaned into the levity of it, and he was like a bit of a joke character in the sense that Banana Guard is. But even if he doesn't get in this season, if he gets in next season in like 3 months, if it's a season of heroes, who's a hero? Aquaman. And I have a strong feeling that he's going to get in the game. He's the only character to get 2 teases in the trailer. He has a statue in the background, as well as the trident that comes out of the water tower. But yeah, I really love Aquaman. Easily my favorite character they could add that isn't a guest character. Like, the guest characters I probably like more than Aquaman. Like Master Chief and Aquaman, that's a close race, you know what I mean? But in terms of Warner Brothers IP, he's the GOAT, he's my favorite, and I'd love to see him. But you know what else I would love to see? Your guys' wish lists. You can either type them up down below and I'll read through them, or you can go to my Twitter where I'll be posting a blank version of this little wish list template that I have on screen right now, where you can put your characters on there. Just a piece of pro advice: use the italic bold Tolyer font, Tolyer, because that's the font they use on the website, and it looks really good with this template because I made this template with that font in mind. With all that said, thank you again for helping me get Ambassador. It means the world. Thank you for letting me just talk about stuff I like for 20 so minutes. That means a lot as well. And I'll smell you guys later.